the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. My name is Brian Wallace, and I am the MS Michigan Man 64. The MS Michigan Man 64 podcast is about chronic disease awareness. I have had multiple sclerosis for the last 27 years. It's an invisible chronic disease that I've been battling for half of my life. I want to share with you what it is like living with the chronic disease from my experiences and the experiences of other chronic disease warriors. We can fight to have a voice to those that want to listen. Together, we can motivate and educate. Hi, welcome back to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast, where I am trying to spread awareness about what it is like living with chronic disease. I have been living with multiple sclerosis for the last 27 years. I talk about my journey as well as the journey of other chronic disease warriors all over the world, just so that people understand what it is like going through a diagnosis. Please hit the subscribe button, share it out. Best way for people to understand is to hear us talk. And today I am going north of the border. I am up in Canada and I am in Saskatchewan. That is the MS capital of the world. I found that out a couple of episodes back when I talked to another MS warrior from that area. But I met Dave online. He goes by Dave Does Stuff on TikTok, and he plays a badass guitar. And that's what originally attracted me to Dave, is just when him playing the guitar on there and the fact that he had MS. And I started following him, and we started communicating with each other, and he wanted to come on and talk about his journey with his MS. He got diagnosed in 2016. Please welcome to the podcast, Dave. How you doing today, Dave?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. So, Dave, I know 2016, that's when your life changed, man. Can you kind of tell us what was going on in your life and what led up to the doctors telling you that you had multiple sclerosis, buddy?
So yeah, I was actually in college at SciAst in Saskatchewan here, and I was sitting down at my desk listening to the teachers and all that, and I noticed my feet went numb. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm just not used to sitting on my ass all day. Figured, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, it was actually then my shins went numb. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. I'll just still write it off as I'm just not used to sitting on my ass.
Right.
So then by the third, fourth day, fifth day, it went up all the way up to my chest. And then I was having trouble breathing. I was having difficulty walking. I'm like, okay, I got to go to the doctor and see what the hell's going on here, because this ain't right.
Right. Right.
So I went to the ER, and they asked me a bunch of questions. They did a bunch of like tests, like checking reflexes and stuff, and poking me to see what I could feel and what I couldn't feel.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you know what, we're going to give you an MRI right away. I was like, okay, I've never had an MRI before. So I'm like, I have no idea what the hell this thing is. So they stuck me in a tube for an hour and a half, and that was a long hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I got out. The next day, they basically said, yeah, you have MS. We're going to keep you here in the hospital for a week or two just to kind of observe you and make sure everything's okay. And so, yeah, I basically like finished my last year of college out of a hospital bed.
Wow. So how old were you when you're getting told this, Dave?
I was 30 years old.
Wow. So I was 27, dude, man. I completely understand where you're at. Being that young, man, and the doctor's telling you that you have MS, and I mean, I was scared, man. I'm not going to lie to anybody. Even though I was a guy, I was a big guy. I just got done playing football at Michigan. I was scared. I didn't know what the hell was going on, man. It's a scary, scary thing to go through at that age.
Yeah, for sure. And like at first, I was in complete denial. I was like, no, I can't have MS. There's no way. There's got to be something else. There's got to be a better explanation for what's happening to me.
Yeah. Did you have any understanding of what MS was at 30 years old? I know at 27, I really didn't.
Um, I actually did. My girlfriend's cousin, or my girlfriend at the time, her cousin, she had MS and she deteriorated pretty quickly, and that's kind of how I knew about it.
Yeah,
I didn't know the full neurological path of it. I just knew what it does to people over time.
yeah. So, um, when they treated you in the hospital, did your symptoms subside? Did they go into remission, did they like stay with you?
So they gave me a prednisone IV treatment, and that actually it it took away the numbness to down to about I'd say about 25%. I still had the pins and needles,
Yeah.
but at least it wasn't restricting. So it didn't feel like I had a bear hugging me at all times, and I could actually move my legs, like my left and my right.
Okay. Okay. Did how did it affect you, your mental health? Because I know when I got that diagnosis at 27, Dave, I mean I didn't know what my life was going to be like. By the time I'm 30 or by the time I'm 40, I just started a career out. I was 2 years into a career. And I needed 32 years to retire, and I'm sitting here thinking, am I even going to be able to retire? I mean, what's going through your head at 30 years old? And you're in college. Your life is just starting out too.
Yeah, like pretty much I was just in complete shock. Like how do you cope with something like that? It's like I'm in my last year of electrical. I'm finally going to get my journeyman ticket. I'm going to make the big bucks. I'm going to, provide for my family perfectly
Right.
and just get on my way. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, you're screwed for life.
Yeah. Right. I mean, how did this disease affect that? I mean, did your dream of being an electrician was gone? I mean, you couldn't do it anymore?
For a moment, like I took a month off work once I got my ticket. And then I was like, okay, I got to get back in the field. I got to try and do the best I can for as long as I can.
Right.
So I went straight back to work. I was still able to climb ladders and everything, only at 75% speed though.
Right.
Um, so I couldn't move as quickly as I used to because I used to be like a speed demon when it came to electrical.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to really slow myself down and be careful because you don't have the balance like you used to,
Yeah.
and that's just how it went.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not a danger. I mean, it can be a dangerous job. I mean, you're up on ladders and all that, and then with having MS, I mean, yeah, I can't even imagine what you're going through. Just the mental part of it, like your dream of being an electrician, and just like overnight, basically, it's gone. And how did you handle that mentally? I know that when I worked 20 years with my disease, and when it came to the point where my disease took my career away. I didn't handle that very well. How did you handle the mental part of that?
To be honest, it bothered me at first, and then I was like, you know what? I can always buy the business uh, that I was working for, and I can just be the boss and have everybody else work
Mm.
for me, like get employees and they can do the work. And that's essentially what I ended up doing.
Yeah.
A year after my diagnosis, I bought my former boss's business, and yeah, so I took over his employees, which was my partner at the time.
Hmm.
Uh, like my best friend too. And yeah, so
So you're figuring,
mentally, I was like, oh,
yeah. So you're figuring shit out, man. I mean, you got a mess, but I mean, you're like, okay, I'm not going to let this stop me. Kind of the way that I attacked it, I mean, I made it 20 years. I'm like, okay, I got a mess. I'm still going to do my thing. I love the fact that you went into employment for yourself. I mean, you took yourself off the field, but you still wanted to be involved in that industry. And I love that fact that you did that, Dave. And then so how did that go? Because I know that you're that's not where you're at now, but and people need to know that that we fight, and but sometimes we lose the battles, but we got to keep on fighting on. So just like how did that go with you with the business?
so it went fairly well, apart from a few political debacles there. But uh, ever since we got a new prime minister, Trudeau, the work kind of slowed down a bit. But we kept going.
Yeah.
But then what really hit was COVID. Canada went into a full lockdown in 2020, and that's where my business really died off.
Yeah.
So for all of 2020, I struggled. It was like maybe a job every like one job every 2 weeks. It was just dead. It went from full bore, like working weekends even, to just nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at 2020 or yeah, 2021, I basically had to shut my business down, claim bankruptcy, and then move away from Yorkton, which is where I was at the time, to uh, to my parents' town
Mhm.
and move in with them now.
Yeah. And and that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand, us as chronic disease warriors. I mean, sometimes, and, we want to be independent. We want to be, on our own. We want to have our own business. And this disease takes that away. And we have to go back with family members. And sometimes I mean, that's a struggle. I mean, because that, especially for men, I know I had to do that for a short time when I went through a divorce with and I was having an episode. I lost my house and all that, and I had to I had to move back with my mom. And I was 40 years old at the time, and it was a hard thing. You suck your pride, but we just keep on fighting on, and it's awesome that you have family that were there for you, and family support. That's another important part of this disease, Dave.
Yeah, like I'm very lucky. I have a very loving family. My parents are just fantastic. Like they took me in with open arms. They took my youngest daughter with me as well. No problem. Like I'm forever grateful.
Yeah. How does your daughter understand the disease? You got a little one. I know yeah. How does she understand that dad has MS?
I basically kind of sat her down and kind of explained it to her as best I could to an 8-year-old, right? But I mean, she can physically see it. Like over the years, I went from being able to mow the lawn to now I'm walking with two canes. So she's kind of watched me deteriorate over the last 3 years.
Yeah. Does she ask questions?
From time to time, yeah. Like she'll ask like, "How are you feeling?"
Yeah.
and can you do this anymore? Or can you do that?
Yeah. You
Like
know,
unfortunately, I can't.
I mean, and it's hard to know how to bring a kid up with with having a chronic disease. I got two kids, and I wasn't sure. But I wanted them to understand the disease, and I wanted them not to be afraid of it, and to understand that I'm still their dad, no matter what, no matter if I'm using a cane or a walker or I'm in a wheelchair. I'm still your dad, and and it's hard to get kids to understand that at that age.
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, I feel bad because like my other two children previously, uh, I was able to play sports with them. I was able to jump on the trampoline and run around with them. And with my youngest, it's a complete different ball game. So I have to tackle activities with her in a totally different way. So basically, I play video games with her, or like she's actually part of a baseball team, and I actually got smart. I took a baseball and hooked it to a fishing rod, so that way I could just sit in a chair and she could hit the ball, and the ball can go flying God knows where, and then I just reel it back in.
That
It
is
was actually
awesome.
clever.
I love that, man. I absolutely love that. And that's something that I always tell people when I am talking to them. MSers, we figure shit out all the time. We make adjustments to our life just to keep things going. I know I have done the same thing, with different things with my kids when I wasn't able to do things, and I even made it like fun and in even a joking way. Even when I had an episode, I remember I was seeing double vision this one time, Dave, and I was going through my Medrol treatments and I was recovering from it, and I'm sitting at home and I'm not feeling good, and my daughter wants to play catch with me with a tennis ball, and she's throwing this ball at me and I can't see it, and I'm seeing two balls and I'm trying to guess at the right one to catch, and sometimes I guessed right and sometimes I didn't. It would hit me in the head, And we just laughed about it, and you got to figure out things to do with your kids, even though you have this disease, to still be their dad and still be their mom. And I love the fact that you did that, man. That is a badass idea. My hats off to you, man. I never would have thought of that when my kids were young, but I love that idea.
Yeah, you just got to improvise and do the best you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of DMTs did they take you through? What was your DMT journey like?
So basically, they put me on Tecfidera for the first year, but then shortly after that, I actually had to stop because it was giving me really, really bad heartburn. So I was like, "Hey, can we try something else? Because this is starting to kill me daily." So then they decided to put me on Mavenclad, and that was fantastic. It like at first I was kind of skeptical because it's basically chemo in pill form,
Right,
essentially. So I started it in I believe it was 2019. But then once COVID hit, they couldn't. They actually refused to give it to me for 2 more years, and sadly, that's when my health deteriorated the most. Because they started the cycle, and then I went 2 years without, and that's when my walking and everything really really went bad. And then by the time they gave me the full 2 year dosage, the damage is already done. Like I basically have to walk with two canes now, and yeah, I basically can't even kneel down and get up anymore. It's not fun.
yeah. So, I mean, let me ask you this. So, I mean, I know you said you use two canes now. Did you struggle with that mentally? I know I did. When I first started having to use a cane, even though I knew I needed it to actually go out and function, I ran from that cane. I would hide it in my car. I did you struggle using a cane?
At first I was like, okay, I guess this is the way things are. I got to use a cane now. So I was using one cane for a good 2 years, and then finally this year, my walking got so bad. I was like, okay, I guess I got to use two canes. But I at that point I already accepted it. I was like, this is just how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be in a wheelchair probably by next year, I would imagine, if at the rate that I'm going. So,
You
but it
know,
is what it is.
I don't know. I mean, I think it is a good thing that you have that in the back of your head. I mean, I think I have that in the back of my head too, Dave, but I still run from that fact that I might be in a wheelchair in another year or two. And I mean, I guess I can say that it's a good thing that you actually can admit that because I have a hard time admitting that. I don't know if that's the guy thing in me or just I don't know. But I really I envy you that you can actually like look at that and see that possibly in your future and talk about that because I have a hard time doing that. I really do.
Yeah, well, like I said, you just gotta go with the punches essentially. And at some point in time, you just gotta accept this is my disease. This is what could happen. Now, the one thing that I'm most scared of is like you can take my legs, but please God, do not take my hands. Because I use my hands for playing guitar. I use my hands for gaming. Like if this disease ever took my hands away, then I would be really, really concerned for my mental health.
Mental part of it. Yeah, I get that, Davey. And that's another fear that we have. We have, because please, this disease, I don't want it to take my eyesight, and my eyes are my worst part of the, with this disease. My every episode, um, pretty much every episode has involved my eyesight, and that's the one thing that I really fear. And I totally get, you're a guitarist, you love playing the guitar, that's a passion of yours and I know that's a tool that you use, and I wanted to talk about that too. Is the tools that we use to fight this disease, and can you talk about a little bit about the Dave does stuff and like the little TikTok that you do with the guitar? Because I actually love that, man. You're on there playing all these riffs and with different jams and all that, and just talk a little bit about that as being part of your mental health. But
So yeah, so about a year ago, I decided I'm gonna create a YouTube channel, and so I start off with YouTube, and I called it Dave Does Stuff because essentially I just wanted it to me. be me doing anything and everything. So it started off with me cooking. It started off with me playing guitar. It started off with me playing video games. Um, and then eventually, yeah, shortly after I started the YouTube channel, I was like, I should actually go on other platforms. So I joined up on TikTok and I started putting TikToks out. And at some point, I was like, you know what? My MS should be an important part of my channel. So I decided to start doing a Rockin to end MS. And essentially what I wanted to do is just I want to get the word of like what MS is and get it out there and get support for it. At some point, if I ever get monetized with it, I would love to, start like some kind of fund that would like basically I could give out to other people with MS that are struggling financially.
Hmm.
I just want to start a good cause and I want to start a good movement. I want other people to join in with me and like play their instruments or sing or something.
I love it, Dave, man. That was the thing that made me hit the follow button when I started following you is just the fact that you're out there with this disease and you're trying to spread awareness. You want to talk about it. You want to explain what it's like living with this disease, but you also want to show that we can still do things. We can still enjoy the talents that we have, whether it's art or writing or music, like you playing the guitar and having that passion and using that as a tool. And I know that when we had the conversation the other day, you were saying, you really got into music a lot when you were younger and then you kind of fell away from it. And then when you got diagnosed, you picked the guitar back up because you wanted to, start using your hands. You wanted to keep that movement in your fingers. And I'm like, that is badass. You need to do that the rest of your life until MS says you can't. And I love the fact that you do that, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like I said, there's so many things you take for granted with this disease, like walking especially. Oh man, I miss being able to jog and run and climb ladders and stairs no problem. Now it's kind of a pain in the ass, but
Right?
I definitely can't run anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But but I figured, you know what? I'm gonna take my other stuff that I'm good at and I'm gonna keep at it the best I can for as long as I can.
Yeah. And that's the
And
we figure shit out, and that's what you did and that's what you're doing and that's what I did with this podcast. I started doing this almost a year ago. I lost my ability to work and I needed something to occupy my mind, and I always tell people that the hardest part of this disease, wherever you're at, even if you're still working with this disease, it's still a mental drain. I did it for 20 years, and it's a hard. And then you throw kids into the mix. It's a mental drain, and you got to find something to relieve that mental stress. And when you lose all that, you still have to find something um, to give yourself a passion. And I found this podcasting because I needed something to occupy my mind, and I love talking to people, and I love talking about this disease now. And I want people to understand, and the people that are just new in this disease that are scared, like I was early when I first got diagnosed. I want to be there for them, just to let them know, you're gonna figure this out. No matter where this disease takes you, you're gonna figure it out. You just gotta slow your mind down and find and figure it out. We always figure shit out.
exactly. The one thing I really noticed about with MS, uh, like when I joined TikTok, I found MS groups, and to be honest, that became my therapy. Just talking to other people about like how their experiences, because everybody's MS is different, and I think that is like the most unique thing that I've ever heard or seen. And the crazy part is like every MS group that I've joined, everybody's so welcoming and loving. It doesn't matter about your politics, it doesn't matter about what race you are, it doesn't matter anything. There's zero what's the word I'm looking for?
We we
Now I'm having
we don't.
M
Yeah, no, no. I'll help you a little bit. That we don't discriminate. I say this all the time, Dave. MS doesn't care whether you're white or you're black or you're Hispanic or you're from the United States or you're from Canada or you're from the UK. It does not matter what politics you follow. If you're a Democrat, Republican, it does not matter. And we just need to come together and just all talk about this disease because we gotta all unite and just spread all positive messages. There's nothing. We don't need the negativity. We're all one because of this disease, so we got to block out all the outside shit, and that's my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Like it, I've never felt so loved and warmed, like, uh, and supported than I ever have than with these groups. Like it's just amazing.
Yeah,
Like that's, like MS can take away our our uh, what's the word? Physicality,
physical ability.
or
Yeah,
yeah, physical abilities. It can take away our mentality. It can take away our emotions even. But one thing that it has bring or done as a positive, and it's just grouped people together, and that just amazes me. Like no other groups in the world can do that as good as like we can.
chronic
Uh,
disease.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're yeah, like for some reason, diseases, you know, seem to just bring together people like no other.
Yep.
And I wish normal people could feel what we feel with
I
that.
agree.
It's
I agree with you, Dave. I've said that so many times, man. I just wish that the whole world saw things like people with chronic disease that just, we just understand, it doesn't matter where you live. Like you're up in Saskatchewan, Canada, and I totally understand what you're talking about with MS and the struggles that you have. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what color you are. We a color you are, we get it, we understand it, and I love that about this community. And chronic disease community is an awesome, awesome community.
yes, absolutely.
So, Dave, is there anything else that you do or use to help you cope with this disease on a daily basis?
Well, actually, I once a week or so, and you can actually do it once a day. I actually use a PEMF therapy mat, which is a pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. And what that is like red infrared uh, light bulbs that you lay on essentially, and it just pierces through your skin and into your body, and it helps like with inflammation. It helps with circulation. It just helps with everything, and it just grounds you out. And it is an amazing feeling, especially when you have the symptoms we do. I would highly recommend it for anybody with MS to at least give it a try.
Yeah. You were telling me about that the other day, Dave, and you actually sent me a link about it, and I watched it, and I will put that in the description. It is really, it sounds like an amazing tool, and you've actually used it, and you're saying that you get relief from it. So I definitely think it would definitely be something that you can look into, because that's all we're searching for. We're searching for anything that we can find relief. And I mean, I appreciate you finding something and wanting to share it. I really appreciate that, Dave. Dave, is there anything that you want to say to anybody out there that is in the same situation as you? They're 10 years into this disease and they got a young kid, and they're fighting every day, man. What would you say to anybody out there that's listening?
To not lose hope, because we're MS warriors for a reason. So you just got to stay positive and just keep fighting the good fight. And one thing I've learned, like a motto I go by, is don't try and be better than everybody else. Try and be better than you were yesterday. Always be kind, and that's about it.
I love it, Dave. I love it. If you want to follow Dave, I will put his description for his TikTok and his Instagram and all that in the description. Dave does stuff. Dave, I really thank you for coming on to share your journey with me and just to help people to understand this disease a little bit better. You always have an open invitation. to come back on. And if you want to talk about any other kind of a topic with this disease, I just really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to share your journey with me, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. If you want to follow me on TikTok, you can find me at MS Michigan Man 64. You can also follow me on Instagram, MS Michigan Man 64, and I'm on Facebook, Brian Wallace out of Brunswick, Ohio. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Till the next episode, MS Michigan Man 64, I am out.